Meditation's coming. A bit of light. Now, just give me 1 sec. 1 sec to get organized. Okay, now let me try and move this without pulling the camera down on top of myself, as I have nearly done a couple of times. Okay. Very good. Now, if you're on Facebook, I've got to turn you off and then turn you on again. Meditation's coming. Nearly there, just waiting for Facebook. This is the Facebook part of the meditation. It's looking good, encouraging. Brilliant. So, how are you this fine Monday? I hope you're well. I hope it's going well. It's fine if it's not, but I hope it is. We're going to do a bit of meditation. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. These daily meditations I do are part of the Further Emergence work. I'll explain what Further Emergence is when we're finished the meditation. So for now, if you're used to meditating, if you're familiar with it, if you've got a nice meditation practice going, brilliant. Can you hang on for a minute while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? There's lots of different types of meditation. This is just what I do. And for me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect with the part of me that I connect to every night. Excuse me. Not when I connect to every night when I go to sleep, but not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm dreaming, and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no memories, no feelings, no emotions, no personality, no body really, no bed, no bedroom, nothing. All disappears. I even disappear because I'm not around. I cease to exist in the way that I normally register I exist. So that all sounds awful, doesn't it? That sounds like death. Yet I love going to sleep, and when I wake up I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that that is a good place that I go to, and that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down, because if you do, you'll probably fall asleep, and if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are very distracting to what the intention is. So yeah, sit up. I'm just sitting in a chair. You don't have to sit in a lotus position unless you're comfortable doing that. As I say, I'm just sitting in a chair. If you're going to sit in a chair, don't sit in a really comfortable armchair that you might fall asleep in. So a slightly uncomfortable chair. As I said, my mind can't get to this place, so I have to figure out some sort of way of working with my mind so that I can, in a way, kind of part the curtains of my mind to get into it. So I just make an arrangement with my mind where I say, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes because I want to meditate? And at this stage my mind is on board for the whole thing. It's like, yeah, okay, fine, meditation, I understand, I know the story, I've done it before. If you're new to meditation, your mind will be on board, probably because it's a new thing and minds like new things. The issue of having your mind on board only really becomes problematic or difficult when you are trying to meditate regularly. Then your mind may get bored with the whole thing and start to think up all the good reasons why you should do anything else other than meditate. So if you're having trouble with that, I can talk about it at the end if you want to ask me about it, because there are ways to get around it. So my mind is on board. Great. Next thing, stop thinking. Now, stopping thinking is easier than it sounds. It's easy to stop thinking because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thoughts around that is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of meditation, of my meditation. So the intention of my meditation is, as I said, to go to this deep, mysterious, profound, still, calm, Zen-like. I'm just trying to think of all the other words they use to describe meditation. You know, that place. And then the practice of meditation starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it generally kind of goes, I'll turn off the pictures, I'll turn off the sound, so I bring myself to not thinking. Then some time passes and I discover that I'm thinking again. Like, oh, thinking again, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. Oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again, and so on. So the practice of meditation is very simple. Every time you discover that you're thinking, you bring yourself back to not thinking. That's it. And it's important to know that. It's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation. That if you have the misconception that to meditate properly you shouldn't be thinking at all, no, that's not my experience anyway. These two things, the intention and the practice, they go together and they sort of do a little dance. Sometimes you'll be very still, other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking, and they kind of go back and forth. And both are powerful in their own way. It's obviously powerful when you're in this very deep, still, profound kind of place. You can feel it in your body, your nervous system starts to settle. It's beautiful. The power is not so obvious when you're discovering that you're thinking, and there's the space there to get irritated with yourself and go, oh, I'm thinking again. And you'd be missing the power in that, because if you're like me, the sort of things that you think about are all to do with you. So, you know, if I'm in the middle of meditation and I discover that I'm thinking, and what I'm thinking about is, you know, what did I do that for? What am I going to do about that thing? Why did that person say that to me? What did I say that to that person? Something like that. So if I'm in the middle of one of those thoughts, I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm saying or demonstrating to myself is, you know, that thought that you just had, that you thought was you and that you were it, well, you just made that disappear. You made it just vanish. So you're not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. The fact that you'd show yourself that, and then that you do that repeatedly. That really adds up over time. So the main thing is to not add to your thinking by thinking that you're meditating badly or incorrectly. There's no correct amount of times that you should be bringing yourself back from thinking. It's not like, you know, if you're bringing yourself back a lot from thinking, you're doing it, you know, it's not a very good meditation, because that changes from day to day and it changes from hour to hour. You could meditate in the morning and not have to bring yourself back from thinking that much. And then in the afternoon, you might have to bring yourself, if you meditate in the afternoon, you might have to bring yourself back a lot. One isn't better than the other. So the main thing, the golden rule, is every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing great. Now, while all that is going on, I'm also letting go of tension in my body, or you could say becoming more aware of my body. So I scan my body from my head down to my feet and back up again, very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I use my out breath to let it go, because it's natural to just breathe it away. But it's also a good way of bringing a little bit more awareness to my breathing. Makes me breathe a little bit deeper, and it stops me from holding my breath, which it's easy to do in meditation, or to stop breathing altogether. So using the out breath to let go of tension, very helpful for that. The other thing I do as I'm scanning my body up and down is I spend a little bit more time on any structures in my body that go across or transverse. And I do that because transverse sites or structures in my body, they operate a little bit like a log gone across a stream. They just pick up a little bit, they pick up the the leaves and the twigs and the branches and anything else that's coming down the stream, except in my body, that'll be tension. So I'm spending a little bit more time on my eyes. They're a transverse site. My jaw, my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints, they're transverse sites. So shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, my respiratory diaphragm, my heart area, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is really helpful if you're starting out in meditation, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is little noises. And as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, your hearing amplifies. So the quieter the room, the less you're disturbed, the less things your mind will have to get triggered to think about. And then the other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. If you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you to set yours for shorter. Set it for 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. If you're going for the 15 minutes, I wouldn't rely on me, because sometimes the internet drops out and you could be left hanging, so set your own timer. Okay, off we go then into the mystery. if you feel like you've gone very deeply and you feel like you need to come back from there, then take the time you need to before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you can hold the inner space and the outer space, and you can just open your eyes. And if when you do that you feel like you've lost connection with the inner space, then you can close your eyes again, reconnect, open them again. If you've lost, lose it again, close them again. You know, you can use your eyes like a valve to balance the inner space and the outer space. So as I said at the beginning of the meditation, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, inner growth specifically, growth in consciousness, growth in awareness. You could call it spiritual growth, inner growth, that kind of growth. Because your body stops growing when you're an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That keeps going for your whole life. And you know, if you think back to who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's very obvious that you can see that growth very obviously. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through a period of accelerated growth, or what are, you know, colloquially, that's a hard word to say, colloquially referred to as growth spurts. You go through growth spurts inside as well, inner growth spurts, and they keep going for the rest of your life as well. And that's really what further emergence is about. It's about those periods when things speed up, when that inner growth speeds up. Because when you were a kid and you were going through a growth spurt in your body, and you said to your parents, "Oh, I've got some pains," and they would have said, "Oh, they're just growing pains. That's fine. It's normal. It's natural. It'll pass." There's a much bigger space on the inside as an adult when you're going through an inner growth spurt to feel like something's wrong, that it's not natural, that you're broken in some way, because it can come in lots. The inner growth spurt can manifest in lots of different ways, and it can look strange. It's certainly difficult. It can be painful to go through it. It can be disorienting. You can feel quite lonely. You can feel like your life doesn't really fit anymore, or you don't fit in your life anymore. There's this feeling of almost like alienation to your own life. It can happen at a time when it's not really going on for anybody else, so you can feel like nobody really understands what's going on. You can get physical symptoms as well, lots of different stuff like that. I've been through it myself loads of times, and I've helped loads of people through it as well. So these meditations are one of the things that I do to sort of support people going through this, because there's a lot of it going on at the moment. The meditations are helpful because they help you with your inner space. Help you become more familiar with your inner landscape, because the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the easier it is to navigate these difficult growth spurts. Then there's a Zoom group every week, Friday, 8 o'clock Irish time. You're very welcome to come. And what they do is it's a chance to meditate a bit more deeply. There's questions and answers, reflection, and also you get to see, oh, okay, there's other people going through this, other people who get what's going on. And that can be very helpful as well. If you're curious about those, if you look back through the feed on whatever channel or platform you happen to be looking at this on, you'll see a video from one of the Zoom groups that'll give you an idea of what it's like. Or you can listen to the podcast. The podcast is made up of audio from those Zoom groups. Also, I work with people one-to-one. I do that twice a week. And that's a combination of in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. Well, that's the way I think of it anyway. So the in front of the scenes part of it is where we talk and there's reflection, and it's a chance to kind of talk through the process that the person's going through. And then there's a period where the person lies down and I work on their system energetically to sort of help harmonize the process in their system. Then what else? I've got books. I've written 4 books that are all sort of around the subject of further emergence in different ways, looking at it in different ways. So yeah, there's plenty there. Now, if you're still with me, if you stayed all the way to the end, maybe something has something is saying to you, there's something to this, there's something kind of resonates with you, I'd encourage you to let that part of you that's saying to you there's something in this too, let that sort of tell you what the next thing to do is, whether that's to just come to the meditations, to go and look at some of the Further Emergence videos or the podcast, or come to a Zoom group. Did I say that? Yeah, Zoom group. Come to a Zoom group. You'll find the link for the Zoom group on the website furtheremergence.com. Yeah, everyone's welcome. Or get in touch for some one-to-one, or read some of the books, or none of the above. That part of you that's encouraged you to listen all the way to now will let you know what to do next. All right, so thanks very much for meditating with me, and see you tomorrow for some more meditation. Bye. See if my little remote thing works. Oh yeah, it doesn't work anymore.